Now let's talk about some network hand tools. I want to start by talking about cable cutters here. This is the ideal data T cutter. It's got a locking mechanism to keep it closed to protect the blades. It's designed for cutting media, network media, coaxial, twisted pair, whatever, that's generally round in shape. And that's the reason that the jaws are rounded here. They can get in there, they can perform the bypass function and cut that cable without any difficulty at all. Compare that to a pair of common wire cutters. These have the type of cutting mechanism where the two blades are pressed together, and they'll serve to crush the cable a little bit while it's being cut. Sure, they'll cut the cable, but they don't do as good a job as something like the data T cutter. The next thing to talk about are, after you've got your cable pulled out of the box and you've cut it with the cable cutter, would be some kind of a stripping tool, a cable stripper. These tools, here's 3 different ones. These can handle different types of media. This one you can see has a lot of areas to put a piece of cable to perform different actions on it. This is strictly a cable stripper itself. This is an Ideal product. And this is a coaxial stripper from Ideal. So each one of these tools functions a little bit different from the other. What we'll be doing in class pretty often is stripping back at the end of the media to get access to the wires. And the way the tool works is pretty simple. You just clamp it onto the media, go around once in the case of this one, start to bend it, and it opens right up. If you notice, I didn't cut all the way through the jacket. And that's pretty important because we don't want to nick the wires that are on the inside there. We just want to get through the jacket and get access to the wires. This one works very similar. It clamps on and you go around scoring the jacket and then opening it up. Now this one, when you're stripping a piece of coaxial media, this one clamps onto it, will trim back the jacket and trim back the center conductor as well, and give you a perfectly stripped cable that's ready to receive something like a compression connector to be installed on the end there. Alright, most of your cable strippers have replaceable and adjustable blades. You can probably see a Phillips tip screw on these tools that will allow you to loosen up the blade and move it, to adjust it, or to take the blade off and replace it. Alright, very handy thing to have in your toolbox. So after you've cut the cable and stripped back the jacket, you're either going to be doing a punch down action or you'll be doing some crimping. If you're doing a punch down, then you're using one of these tools. Here's an Ideal punch down tool, and then here is a cheaper punch down tool. It still does the job, but it's not built as well as the Ideal product. Both of these have removable blades. You use this tool to attach media to a plug, to a jack or to a patch panel. The tool has a cutting side. If you look at the tip, you can maybe see the angle of the blade there. There's a bit of a U area there for the tool to get down onto a jack in order to install the wire, something that you'll see when we do an installation video here, and then you do an installation. Both tools have that same type of tip design on it. These blades are replaceable on this tool. You just turn it, pull it straight out, And you notice you have another end with a slightly different tip on it. This tip does not have the cutting edge on it. It just is for punching down without cutting. Okay, so install the tip and you're basically ready to go. The tool can also handle, right now this blade is a 110 blade. This tool can also handle a 66 blade, which are the older telecom style blades. You don't see those used in networking at all anymore. So again, punch-down tool made for attaching media to a jack, or which is found in a faceplate in the wall, or to the back of a patch panel, which is found at a telecom rack. There's a cutting side, and it's also indicated by where the blade is, and by the orange color, and by these scissors here. The tool also has a high-low setting. Generally, you start on the low setting. If I rotate this spring-loaded knob here, it turns over to high. And then if I rotate it back, it goes back to low, and you hear it pop there. Generally, you start on low. Perform your punch-down action, which you'll see coming up in a future video, and install the wire and cut it off. The other button here is to open up the storage compartment to store a blade back there. If I push on the button, it releases the mechanism and out pops the extra blade. There's no extra blade in this one. Alright, this tool has the same thing, except the high-low switch that you have here is actually on the handle. So if I rotate the handle, there we go, then it changes over from high to low. Right now that's on the low, and then if I rotate it around, it will be on the high. You can see the H right there maybe. Cheapy tool for, some use, maybe a low number of impacts before the spring fails. This one is a professional tool. This will probably do hundreds of thousands of punch downs before it needs to be replaced. I like to keep the blade protector on here. Always keeps the blade in good shape. Okay, so that's your punch down tool. If you are not doing a punch-down operation, then you're going to be doing a crimping operation probably. And before you do a crimping operation, you have to, after your wires are stripped out, right, after the jacket is removed from the media, and they look like this, you're going to unravel them, unwind them, untwist them, and put them into a certain order, either the 568A or 568B order, and then you're going to you're going to trim them, put them into a plug, and then crimp them. So electrician scissors are what we use to trim the wires. When we have them ready to go into ready to be trimmed and go into a plug for crimping, we would use a pair of electrician scissors. I'm just showing you three different styles that they have here. This one's got a little bit of a helper part on it here. This is just the basic, I think this is a Klein tool. Nope, I'm sorry, this is an Ideal tool. And this is another style of Ideal, I believe. Heavy duty, made for trimming these wires and other things. I've seen them used. They're pretty, in a lot of different environments, they're pretty tough little scissors. Alright, so after the scissors, the last tool to talk about, network hand tools, what we're talking about, network hand tools. After talking about common hand tools, these are the network hand tools, are crimpers. Here's three different crimpers. Now the first one is the Ideal Crimp Master. This is actually a two-piece tool, kind of like the Punchdown that was a two-piece tool. The blade that could be changed and the body of the tool itself. The Ideal Crimp Master is all set up the same way. There's the body of the tool, and then installed in the front here are the die for whatever it is that you're doing some crimping on. So this is again a professional tool that will last quite a while. Compare it to this other crimper that was, 1/3 of the price or less. It's the same thing, same design. It's got the body, and then into the teeth of the body go a die, and this die is set up to perform a certain kind of crimping operation. To install this, to install the die, take out the 2 screws, put the dies in, tighten the screws up, and they would look kind of like what you see on the ideal here. Alright, so this tool used for crimping, called the crimper. So if we use the data T cutter to cut our cable, strip it back, separate the wires, we'll put them in order, trim them, then we would put a plug on the end of the media. And when I say plug, this is the device that I'm talking about, a network plug. Alright, you'll see the whole operation. I'm just exposing you to the tools now. Alright, but you'll see the operation here in a future lesson. So this is a plug, and this plug has been crimped on. Okay, so installing the plug onto the media. What else do I want to say about this? The die is replaceable. I could use this body to crimp coaxial connectors, but there aren't many that you would use this style crimper for anymore. The new standard is to use compression style connectors. Okay. Okay, so that's all we can say about that. Oh, it is a ratcheting action tool. I probably didn't point that out. You start to close it so far, and it only closes, it'll keep closing, and it won't open back up again until you go all the way through the cycle on it. There is a release mechanism here in case you get your finger caught in it or something weird like that. Alright, and the die. Now the last crimper here, this is a compression style crimper for coaxial cable. If I used my coaxial cable stripper and I strip back a piece of coaxial cable and I had it all the right length and everything, and then I put my connector on, everything would fit into the end of this tool, and the tool would perform, right, the operation of crimping. Alright, there's a bit of an adjustment that goes on here to get the tool, to get the item in there, and whoops, and once I have it in there all the way, then I would be able to crimp that compression style tool, connector, right, onto the coaxial media. Now what happens in a compression style connection is this part here, the collar at the very end, is pushed up into the body, and this plastic piece goes inside there, and it compresses onto the coaxial cable jacket, and that's what holds it in place. It gives you a nice weatherproof connection that holds the connector onto the cable very well. Now you may be wondering why I'm not crimping it on here. It's because this connector is made for RG6, I believe, cable, and this is not that kind of cable, so it won't install correctly here. Alright, so that's it for the tools, for the network hand tools. You'll see some of these in action in the future videos. Thanks for watching.